Hey everybody, as you can probably tell by what I am holding, this is going to be a video regarding the Cryptid Creatures Readathon. In today's video, I'm going to be giving recommendations for the prompts in row 1. Y'all, I hope that makes sense. So here is row 1. I'm going to be talking about these prompts today. This is the third recommendation video that I have posted so far, and there will be a few more to come. I have posted 2 videos so far discussing recommendations for cryptid books. Today I am talking about recommendations that fit the prompts that don't really have anything to do with cryptids, because in this readathon you can either read a book about the cryptid listed, or you can read the prompt, or combine them if you can find it. But today I'm going over row 1's prompts. So if you want to know what the rest of the board, what I would recommend for those squares, stay tuned, because every single day this week I'm going to be posting videos recommending books to you all that have to do with the board. It's kind of wild, but I'm having fun with it. So like I said, today is prompt day, and I am going to be giving you recommendations for the Bigfoot Square, read a book over 400 pages, Loch Ness Monster, read a book with water on the cover, a Hool, read a book with flight, and Jackalope, read historical fiction. Again, if you want like Bigfoot recommendations or Jackalope recommendations, check out the playlist down below. It has all of the videos I have done so far on my channel about this readathon. You can find them there. But today we're doing prompts. So of course, Bigfoot, right? Like, you can't not do a big prompt for this one. I tried to kind of match the cryptid with the prompt. Bigfoot, big book, it makes sense. So the prompt is read a book over 400 pages. It can be as little as 401 pages. I say little, but like, as far as the prompt is concerned, and it will count. If you guys don't know me, I am primarily a thriller and fantasy reader. So those are primarily the books I'm going to be talking about in this recommendation video, but I did try to find some other ones off my shelves that might work as well, in case you're not really into either of those categories. As far as fantasy goes, I'm pretty sure like anything Brandon Sanderson would count. I know Way of Kings. I'm pretty sure Mistborn is over 400 pages. He is a very easy fantasy author to get into if you're new to fantasy, so recommending those, of course. But ones that I have physically here to recommend to you all. First up is An Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tahir. This is book 1 in the series. Name is the same as this book. There are 4 books in this series, and I have been rereading this series and absolutely adoring it. I'm currently in the middle of book 2 and really had to struggle to put it down to film this video. This story follows a girl named Laya and a guy named Elias. It's a YA range age category, but I would say it definitely feels on the older end, possibly even new adult, not as far as content, but just as far as maturity of the characters and the writing, in my opinion. This is desert setting, military school, slaves, like the empire is oppressing the people, all that kind of stuff is in here. It also is based off of Middle Eastern mythology, so you have gens and wraiths and all sorts of really fun stuff in here. Laya is a slave, Elias is a soldier, and as it says in the little blurb here, neither is free. It's really, really good. I'm not going to go too deep into any of these because we will be here all day. So I just would say, if you like dealing with, if you like military type fantasy or political type fantasy, this might be one for you. This book has 466 pages in it, so it will definitely cover the prompt. Next up, I have another, I guess it is considered a YA fantasy. That is typically what I read, is YA fantasy, but it is another one that I feel like a lot of adults enjoy as well. And that is Strange the Dreamer by Alani Taylor. Now, this is the Owl Crate edition, so you might not be familiar with this cover, but this is, I'm sure you can see, a very large book. This book is 532 pages, so it most definitely will count for the Bigfoot prompt. In this book, we are following a young man named Lilo Strange, who is basically an orphan, and he's working towards becoming a scholar. And he, his whole life, has believed in this imaginary world called Weep. And he's like, I know it's real, but everyone around him is like, no, it's not. Until one day, an emissary shows up from this mystical town of Weep and is like, hey, we have monsters attacking our town. We need your guys' help to fix it. And we are also hearing from the perspective of the monsters. And it is such a beautiful, lovely book. And I need to continue. This is a duology, and I need to read book 2 because this one broke my heart, and it has a major cliffhanger at the end. So make sure that you are prepared to read book 2 if you decide to pick up this one. But this one is also actually has more of a deserty setting. I did not do that on purpose, but it has a deserty setting, and I think more of a, again, Middle Eastern inspired as far as the way that the culture is and all of that sort of things. Again, not on purpose, but they kind of match. I guess I have, a type of book that I like, right? Lonnie Taylor's writing is very lyrical. I don't know if people will, I guess you could say her writing is probably considered purple prose. So if that's something you enjoy, this could be one for you. If it's something you don't enjoy, maybe not. Maybe don't pick this one up. I have a couple books that would be considered thriller horror. The first one I've already actually mentioned for Bigfoot in the last video. If you guys want to watch that, I'll make sure it's linked above. Because it does fit for Bigfoot, but it also fits for a book over 400 pages, because this book has 419 pages, and that would be Monster by Frank Peretti. I don't know where my dust jacket went, but here's a picture of it. This is Monster by Frank Peretti. It is basically, I don't want to say much, but we're set in the woods. I believe we're in the Pacific Northwest. I read this quite a while ago, so I cannot remember the exact details to it, but I know that there's been a lot of strange occurrences happening. Campsites have been raided. I'm not sure if people have been injured or killed or missing, but I think that does play into the story a little bit. I do know at one point we do have a missing person case in here, and it's really action-packed. It's really adventurous. It's definitely suspenseful. I will say that. It is definitely a suspenseful book. And it does fit Bigfoot in both senses of the prompt. So that's all I'm going to say. I haven't read this one in years, but from what I can remember of it, I definitely recommend it. Now I now have another very large book by the same author, actually, and that is The Oath, also by Frank Peretti. This book has 550 pages in it, so if you're looking for more of a thriller horror, we're going into spooky season type of thing, this would be a book to pick up. This book is about a small town in the Pacific Northwest as well. He lives in the Pacific Northwest, so all of his books are set here, which, I live here too. It's really cool. I like reading books about where I'm from. But anyways, it's about a small town, and we start out the book by this woman almost getting run over by a semi-truck, and we find out that her lover basically has been eaten by some sort of animal. And of course, they're saying, oh, it's a grizzly bear attack, but they bring in a wildlife specialist, and he's like, yeah, I've never seen a grizzly bear do that kind of damage. So he's kind of trying to investigate this town, because it also happens to be the brother of the deceased man. So he's trying to figure out what is happening in this town. There's also this very secretive cult-like something or other going on in here, and there is this oath that if people don't, honor the oath, bad things start happening, and there may or may not be a dragon in this book that somehow relates to said oath. So yeah, this is one I definitely recommend. It is a chonker of a book, but it's definitely good for spooky season. The last book that fulfills the prompt of over 400 pages that I'm going to talk about today is The Searcher by Tana French. This one is a novel that is a mystery. I think it's just a straight up mystery. It's a little bit hard boiled. It's detective. And well, we're dealing with a former detective. A former detective from America decides to move to Ireland for retirement to kind of get away from everything. And he moves to this small little town in Ireland where everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows everybody's secrets. And there is a missing persons case that he kind of gets roped into. He kind of ends up mentoring this local kid, and it's their brother who goes missing. So he's really kind of, heartstrings are being pulled here, but he's also trying not to interfere with the locals, because it is very much like, hey, we take care of our own here. And if there's a problem, we take care of it, not the cops kind of situation, if you know what I mean. I really feel like Tana French almost writes more as I could see a man writing this book. I know that's kind of weird, but I feel like she's definitely more gritty and more, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it's very much like hardboiled detective type of story, but like he's a former detective. I don't know if I'm making sense at all, but I really, really enjoyed this book. There is a pretty big twist at the end that just makes things kind of wild. And I thought it was beautifully written. It is a slow burn mystery. It is an intense mystery, but I highly recommend this one as well. Those were all the books that I have to recommend to you all that will fit the over 400 pages prompt. Let's move on to the Loch Ness Monster prompt, which is a book with water on the cover. Being a thriller reader, I think this one was actually extremely easy to do. There were a lot of books on my shelves that have water on the cover, and I'm sure there are plenty of fantasy books as well, or other genres. I'm pretty sure all the books I've pulled off my shelves that have water on the cover are all within the thriller category. So I'm just going to recommend these ones. First off, we have a YA thriller, which I'm normally not the biggest fan of YA thrillers, but this one I did really enjoy. This is The Project by Courtney Summers. She is the author of Sadie, which is just a really well done young adult true crime type of story. This one is about a cult. We're following these two sisters, one who is in the cult and one who is trying to rescue her other sister out of said cult. And as you can see right here, there is water on the cover. Then we have The Reckoning at Gossamer Pond by Jamie Jo Wright. We are actually sitting on a pond. This boat is on a lake or a pond of water. This is dual timeline mystery in the past, mystery in the present. It is also Christian fiction if you are interested in that, but it's not the type of Christian fiction that's going to be bashing you over the head with the Bible. It's more of the themes throughout the story. We have a dual timeline here. In the past timeline, we have twin revivalists who are like church preacher guys that go around the country talking about Jesus, that kind of thing. And in the present, we're following a woman who inherited this old rundown trailer in this town that has a whole lot of newspaper clippings and a whole bunch of like diary entries and crazy stuff in there that's like obviously somebody was like trying to figure out a mystery. And basically as it goes, you're following the mysteries in the past and the present and how they kind of twine together. And it is such a good book. It's one of my favorites by her. So this one will work. I have another Christian fiction book, but this one is definitely more closer to the horror side of thriller suspense. When the Day of Evil Comes, and out here we can see there is a body of water on the book. This one is about a biology professor, and as school is starting back up again, it's like really hot summer, they're in Texas, and she starts having these really weird things happening to her that are kind of similar to what happens in Amityville Horror, if you know anything about that story. So if you're looking for more of like a haunting type of thriller, because again, we are moving into the spooky season, like I said, this definitely would lean towards horror. This is a really good one that I would highly suggest. Now for a few just straight up thrillers, I have two Alice Feeney books here, Daisy Darker and Beautiful Ugly. Both of these books have water on the cover. Daisy Darker is a And Then There Were None retelling with a wild twist at the end. Absolutely love this one. 5 stars, kept me up all night reading it. And then we have Beautiful Ugly, which is following an author whose wife mysteriously disappeared, and he goes to this small secluded island to try and recover from writer's block. While he's there, he thinks he sees his wife, and a lot of wild things happen in this one as well. I didn't like this one quite as much as some of her other books, but I still would recommend it. Plus, look at how beautiful this cover is, and there is water. Then we have Middle Tide by Sarah Crouch. This one, unfortunately, was not as good as I was hoping it to be. This is a debut, and I feel like you can kind of see its debut. I still really enjoy it, don't get me wrong, but I feel like there were some themes in this story that I wish the author would have expanded upon more and delved deeper into. So I'm hoping that's just like a case of, hey, it's just a debut and they will only get better from there. But this one, there is a body of water here at the very bottom of the book. It's a small town. I believe it's up in, again, Pacific Northwest. Can you guys tell that I have a type that I like? It says, in this gripping and intensely atmospheric debut, disquiet descends on a small town after the suspicious death of a beautiful young doctor, with all clues pointing to the reclusive young man who abandoned the community in chase of big city dreams, but returned for the first love he left behind. We also do have Native American representation in this book. And the main author, or the main character, is an author, and the death of the doctor is very suspiciously lining up with his book that he wrote. So that is why attention is on him. So that is this one. And the last book that I have to talk to you guys about today that has water on the cover is, of course, The Night Swim by Megan Goldin. I adore Megan Goldin. I think she is a great thriller author. This one has water here on the cover. It has the ocean. We are following a true crime podcaster as she is covering a case that has to do with SA. I think it's like within the college community. There is a college student who is being accused of SAing another student. He is a very rich, popular athlete. So it definitely has commentary on that sort of situation. But when she is there to cover this case, she starts getting notes left on her car anonymously, and like nobody knows who she is because she does anonymous podcasts. So she's like, what the heck? And basically saying that like, hey, someone I loved was murdered by drowning and I want you to prove it, basically. So she's kind of being stalked while also kind of trying to figure out what's going on now, like following the court case, and also trying to figure out what may have happened in the past. So yes, this is one I very much 5-star, really good thriller. Those are my recommendations for water on the cover. Let's move on to the Ahul, which is Read a Book with Flight. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, this one has been really difficult for me to find books, both for the cryptid, because they like hardly exist, and for like flight. I know there are a lot of flight books out there, but I was scouring my shelves and I'm like, I don't have any books with flight. This is something I need to remedy, apparently. So I do have a couple here that I can show you and talk about because there are different ways you can interpret flight. The first and very most obvious way you can interpret flight is by flying on an airplane. And so I have Departure by A.G. Riddle. I have not read this book yet, so I cannot tell you if it's any good or not. But it doesn't involve flight because it's dealing with a plane crash. It's about a plane that is going from New York to London and crashes. But when the survivors emerge, it seems they have traveled in time as well. So you're dealing with some sci-fi elements in here, some time travel, and also plane crash, the aftermath of that, trying to survive, you know, all of the things that come along with it. The reason I haven't read this yet is because I do fly a bit. And I'm like, this is terrifying. There's another terrifying, even more terrifying, I think, book that is called Falling. I think, I could be wrong, but here it is on the screen. I think it's by T.J. Newman. I could be completely wrong. So anyways, it is here on the screen. And I know this is also about a plane crash. So if you want that kind of horror in your life, both of those books would work for flight. Now, if we want to go the other direction that I think most people would probably assume flight would work for, we can talk about dragons. So this is Aragon by Christopher Paolini. I have not read this book since I was a child, so I do not remember if the dragon flies in this book or if it's in further books that he flies in. But basically, guys, any book that has a dragon or any kind of flying creature like that will work. Any, you know, whether the characters ride them or not, this will work because dragons, they have, as long as they are dragons with wings and they fly, you can count it. This is about a young boy who finds a mysterious rock and thinks he's going to sell it for, you know, money to save his farm. And turns out it's dragon egg. And dragon hatches and he is basically thrust into this world of things that he never knew existed. And they're really good books. I do believe this is a middle grade, by the way, or YA. I can't quite remember. But this is a young adult book. Departure was an adult book, to my understanding. And another young adult book that I very much enjoyed was Crown of Feathers by Nikki Parpredo. This one is about Phoenix Riders. So you can definitely pick this one up as well. Now, going into a little bit more of a different direction with flight, we have Star Trek. You can read science fiction books. Specifically here, I have these old editions of Star Trek volume 1 through 5. These are from the 70s, and there's flight in here because their starship flies in space. So I will accept that as well if you have like a rocket, a spacecraft, as long as it's like flying in some way, it would count. I have not read these yet either, but I'm sure they're going to be great. I mean, these are based on the original Star Trek, the 1970s Star Trek. So, you know, for a Trekkie, I'm definitely a hardcore Trekkie, though I am more Next Generation, I just gotta say. But Star Trek, anything like that worked for the prompt. And the last book is Scarlet by Marissa Meyer. This is book 2 in the Lunar Chronicles series. This book will count because Scarlet is a pilot and she flies a airplane slash spaceship type of thing. So she is a pilot. There is flying in here. We're talking about the fact that she is a pilot and how she flies and all of that kind of stuff. So this one will count. The Lunar Chronicles are basically sci-fi retellings of fairy tales. So we have Cinder is book 1, which is about Cinderella. Scarlet is book 2, which is about Lord Riding Hood. And I will say this one was probably my favorite out of the 4. Then we have Cress, which is about Rapunzel, and Winter, which is about Snow White. They are a lovely, lovely series. Again, young adult, but like, it doesn't matter. They're so good, guys. I highly recommend. Those are all the books that I have that I recommend for flight. The last square on this row is Jackalope, and that is to read a historical fiction. So I have a little bit of a stack here of historical fiction books that I can share with you, which is funny because I don't consider myself a historical fiction reader, but I do have quite a few of them. We have this absolutely hilarious book. This is like a fantasy or speculative fantasy type of it's almost Pride and Prejudice, but it's like if Pride and Prejudice met Sherlock, kind of, but also had radioactive frogs. It's so funny. I mean, literally from the first page, I was cracking up in this book. It's Regency era, so that's what, you know, Pride and Prejudice, Jane Austen type of thing. And oh, I guess there actually is water on here too. You can kind of see that, I guess, is water. So it would also count for that. But this one is so funny. It's a murder mystery, historical fiction, fantasy, like a huge genre blend. So it would work for genre blend prompt too. Just following our main character who like doesn't care about being a lady. She wants to be a detective, and she's always like invested in her favorite detective, who is basically a Sherlock Holmes or a Hercule Poirot type of detective. And when they're at this ball, someone is murdered, and they have to try and figure out who the murderer is and all the things. And there may or may not be a werewolf, and radioactive frogs. It sounds ridiculous, but I mean, it is, but in the best way. And I believe the sequel just came out recently. So if you want to read the sequel, I believe that would work too, because it is considered historical fiction because it is the Regency era. But I didn't even tell you what this book is called. It's called A Most Agreeable Murder, and it's by Julia Seals. So there it is. It's hilarious. Highly, highly recommend this one. It's so much fun. Then I have this absolutely stunning middle grade. This is called Dreamwood and is by Heather McKay. This one is also set in the Pacific Northwest. I swear I didn't pick them on purpose, like for this video. They just happened. This one is a historical fiction because it is set in the time, I don't know if it tells me the date. It doesn't tell me the date, but it is around the time when the state of Oregon and Washington were just territories. They weren't states yet. Our main character, it runs away from boarding school when her father basically goes missing. He is an expert on all things supernatural, and he is researching a remote territory in the Pacific Northwest. So she runs away from the school and is trying to find him. She also ends up meeting up with the chief of the local Native American tribe, his daughter, and there's a lot of like native lore, and it is fantastical in that sense of we're following like supernatural type of things. And she is just on a trek to find her father. But I mean, this was 1,000% a cover buy. Look at that. Look at that. It's so beautiful. And yes, middle grade. At times I felt the main character was a little bit whiny and annoying, but for the age range, I think it was appropriate. I think the author did a good job portraying a younger protagonist. Because as an adult, you're like, oh, okay, you're a little bit whiny. But like, honestly, I don't blame her because her father is missing and she's going on an adventure to the Pacific Northwest by herself. But yes, this one's one I would recommend for historical fiction as well. Let's talk about a different subgenre of historical fiction, which is biblical fiction. So these would work because they are set in biblical times. First off, we have 80-30, which is set in 80-30. So it works for historical. This is by Ted Dekker. It doesn't follow like a biblical character or anything like that. It is just set in the time of Jesus, and we are following our main character. She is an outcast daughter of the most powerful Bedouin sheiks in Arabia. I cannot remember why, but she has to basically escape, and she goes to Jerusalem and tries to make alliance with King Harold of the Jews. And while she is there, she encounters Jesus. So we're following, it's literally 80-30 in Israel, in the Middle East, like basically seeing the story of Jesus told from an outsider. It's a really, really good book. Now, this one I have to show you is, I guess, would actually be considered biblical fiction because it is a story of an actual person from the biblical stories, and it is Iscariot by Tosca Lee. This is a novel of Judas. Tosca Lee has done a few novels where she's basically telling the story of biblical characters. So she has one called Hava, which is about Eve. That one would count as well. She has one about the Queen of Sheba, I'm pretty sure. And then this one is about Judas Iscariot, who, if you guys don't know, he is the man who betrayed Jesus to the Romans. And it is such a like, it's a harrowing book because you're seeing throughout this story Judas, his motivations, how he truly, truly believed in Jesus and loved Jesus, and how his belief in him got corrupted to the point of where he betrayed him. And it's so heartbreaking because I feel like Tosca Lee really gives humanity to these characters. They were, I say characters, but like they're real people from history. So it's definitely a fictionalized account of his life, of his story. But she does it so well. It also would be set in the same time period as 80-30 because we're following Jesus Christ. And like I said, the man who betrayed him. Highly recommend this. It is biblical, historical fiction. Yeah, it's definitely a heavy book, but I think it's a beautiful book, if that makes sense. It just, yeah, I love Tosca Lee, so this one would definitely count for historical fiction. Next up, on a completely different note, we have Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Canas. Now, her other book, which is The Hacienda, would also work, and her newest one that just came out, I believe, is The Possession of Alba Diaz. Maybe I could be incorrect there, but all of her books would work because she writes historical fiction. This one specifically is historical Mexico with vampires. It is brilliant. I really, really enjoyed this book. I loved how she was able to weave vampires into the story in a way that I have never seen done before. Like, they were so uniquely written and so uniquely done. I'm not going to go any farther into that because I don't want to spoil it, but it is beautiful. This is set in a desert, so again, another desert book. Apparently I like forests and deserts. But this takes place around the same time as the Mexican-American Wars, or the Mexican-Texas War. I don't know my history all that well, but like, remember the Alamo? That's kind of the time period this takes place in. And she is the daughter of a wealthy ranch owner. And our second POV that we're following is the son of a ranch hand. I mean, there's so much packed into this, and the Mexican culture. It's just, it's so good. It's so good. So this one I definitely would recommend for historical fiction. The Reckoning at Gossamer Pond will also work for historical fiction because it is dual timeline, set in the past, set in the future. I will count dual timelines. Any of her books will work for that. And then the last book that I am going to share with you all for this video and for the prompt is The Book of the Witching by C.J. Cook. This is another one that is both past and present timelines. In the past, we are following a woman who is accused of witchcraft. It's in I can't remember if it was Ireland. It's the Orkney Islands, and I cannot remember what country those are from, but I know it's somewhere in the UK. And this story is following, in the past timeline, we're following the only woman to have ever been killed for witchcraft in the islands. And the future timeline, we're following this mother who gets a call that her daughter, who just went on vacation with her best friend and her boyfriend, is in the hospital with a severe, I think she's in a coma, and the other two are missing. And so she is trying to figure out what the heck happened to my daughter. There are cult-like vibes in here. I am normally not one to read witchy books. I am not a fan. I don't like witchcraft, that kind of things. It's very much more following the actual historical accounts of what actually happened to these women, who were just like healers or even they spoke out of turn, or some dude didn't like them, so I was like, hey, you're a witch, so you're going to be gone. That kind of situation. There is a reason why this woman is targeted in here. The present timeline does directly interact with the past timeline as well. This would work for historical fiction. Okay, you guys, I don't know how many books I talked about in this video. Editing is going to be a thing, but those are all of the recommendations that I have for the first row of prompts on the bingo board. This is why I'm doing multiple videos, because this video is already too long and we just talked about the prompts from row 1, not even the cryptids. So tomorrow you will see the cryptid recommendations for row 2, and the day after that will be the prompt recommendations for row 2, and then it'll be row 3, row 3, row 4, and row 4, and then I will be done with my recommendations. If you guys liked this video, please make sure to give me a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any of my content. Make sure to let me know down below if you are participating in the Cryptid Readathon or not. We would absolutely love to have you. All you have to do to participate is fulfill one prompt. That's it. We do have a Discord that you can come hang out with us in. Everything will be linked down below. And I am so excited for this, you guys. Thank you so much to everyone who has been so supportive, and I cannot wait to do some cryptid hunting with you. So happy cryptid hunting, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!